So funny story. I had every intention of filming this video before 6:40 p.m. the day before it goes out. I got distracted. I ended up staying up until 2 a.m. making a sim that kind of sort of looked like me by the end of it. She had a similar vibe and we didn't look alike. Maybe like just vaguely related, maybe a cousin. She was very cute. Was up till 2 a.m. trying to get enough custom content for that bad boy, and it didn't save. Heartbroken. I didn't get around to filming until, again, 6:41 p.m. And the funny thing about that is I was going to film, and I have an ad read with a known wine subscription box people later this month. So I was trying one of the wines, and it works. I had a 3-ounce glass of wine, and I'm a little bit turned. Not on purpose. I just am a very big lightweight now. Hello, everyone. It's Kendall here. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, what is up, home? Skillet biscuit. And happy Saturday. If you don't know what Saturday is, it's when I do a little something on my channel called Bad Movies in a Beat. The series on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on. But again, my makeup's already on because I am horribly bad at procrastinating, which is pretty impressive because I didn't even upload last week. So I had extra time and I just still I like living on the edge. I say all that to say because I procrastinated, my makeup's already on. And putting on your makeup and filming at the same time takes a lot more time than just talking into the camera. And considering apparently I'm going to be editing this drunk, I need all the help I can get. So fret not, I have cheese bread. And while I sober up and continue to drink more wine, I'm going to send it over to Admiral Kennie, who's going to tell us about products and services so that we can keep our lights on. Thank you. Hello everyone, it's Admiral Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online community for anyone who's curious, creative, and wanting to learn new skills. For any skill that you've been looking to learn, you probably, most likely, 99% of the time, you can find a really interesting and engaging class on it on Skillshare. Recently, I've been really interested in growing like small herbs and maybe tomatoes, maybe a cucumber, some green onion or something along my window. And the problem is I don't know what I'm doing. So in a situation like that, it'd be really cool to do a class here with Etna Charti. I probably pronounced that wrong. She's over at Garden Up and she has a class on Skillshare called Indoor Gardening, Grow Houseplants, Veggies, and Herbs, which is like literally verbatim what I was just talking about. So if you would like to check out Skillshare, the link down below will let the first 1,000 of my viewers get 1 month free of Skillshare so that you can start exploring your creativity today. Big thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery. Last time we were here, we revisited Tubi because it's where all of wonderful things go to live and thrive and also die. We looked at These Men for Everybody, which is a sequel of another Tubi movie. I believe the first Tubi movie I ever watched. He Played Me. They have a lot of the same actors. It's also set in Detroit, and as a Detroiter, that tickles my pickle. So I always love to see what my people doing. Side note, I every time I talk about a local Detroit movie, like not every time, but enough for me to notice, I end up getting contacted in some way or another by a director, a producer, somebody involved. No one's ever been rude. Everyone's always been quite nice. You know, like, oh, you're really funny. I saw your video. Ahaha. But there's also a paranoid part of me that's like, is it that you said, ahaha, you really funny because you think I'm really funny? Or is it like a, ahaha, real funny cuz you got a giggle out of me, maybe a chortle or two, and if I ever see you, I will let you know how you had me giggling merrily. Needless to say, I haven't really responded to anybody. If you want to check that out, it'll be linked up above, or you can check it out in the Bad Movies in a Beat playlist. This video is gonna be a mess. We're gonna make some magic happen, baby. All right. This week, Christmas has come twice this year, which is only slightly less than people in this movie. You were reading that correctly. The title of this video is not something you're confused about. You're like, didn't they come out with a movie already this year? Yes. 4 months ago. The makers of 365 Days have released their third movie, the second of this calendar year, called The Next 365 Days. Yes, your favorite porn music video movie adaptation of your favorite Polish erotic Italian mob boss fantasy has just dropped, and you all have sacrificed me to bring you good tidings and whatever happened in the third movie, in case you don't actually want to watch it. The thing that I find really fascinating about these movies is that you go in knowing they're not going to be a real movie. It's just going to be a bunch of sex scenes with poorly enunciated and written lines with no actual plot, and somehow, even though I expect that, they still surprise me. And to some degree, that in and of itself is in its own way impressive, you know? So I don't know. If you haven't seen the first two movies, or haven't seen anyone's videos on the first two movies, or haven't read the books, don't know what they're about, haven't heard what it's about, anything, I highly recommend you watching my two videos on them, because I'm really funny and they're somehow miraculously not demonetized. But the original, somewhat of a plot, there was a plot at one point and we've just given up, but was that a Polish woman on vacation in Sicily ends up being kidnapped by an Italian mob boss because she vaguely reminds him of a hallucination of a beautiful woman who saved his life when he was dying of a gunshot wound. After kidnapping her, gives her the choice, quote unquote, she can either fall in love with him within the next 365 days or a year. Kept saying 365 days instead of just saying a year, but okay. If you don't fall in love with me in the next year, I'll let you go back to your life and you can return to your boring, nothing relationship that you're in Poland. Being that, shocker if you didn't know, because all terrible things somehow lead back to Twilight. This movie is like a roided up version of 50 Shades of Grey, which is a roided up version of Twilight. Being that that is the type of movie we're watching, we have a sequel in which we have a budding love triangle between the main character and a guy who isn't great, but still better than the first one. In this movie, he is the son of a mob boss that is a rival of the original guy. As always in any of these movies, when they have a sequel that they introduce a triangle in, I will always root for the second guy, but they always just say, "F you, Kendall. We didn't write this shit for you," which is apparent because I would have made a good movie. I say that. I actually don't know. I think what's really funny, very easy to talk shit. A person that can't teach, right? I love talking shit about movies, but I don't know how to make one. Theoretically, I make one better than this, but we don't know that. I'm too afraid to publish my screenplay. I'm too afraid to publish my movie. What if you end up doing it on Bad Movies in a Beat? Then you're doing better than other people. Somebody's gonna watch it now. Better write your screenplay and make a buck over me making some jokes. Girl, you'll laugh your way to the bank. What the f? The plot of the second movie is that our main character is starting to fall in love with the second guy because she thinks the first guy cheated on her with his ex, but actually it was his evil twin. It sounds like a plot. I know me saying that sounds like a plot. Watch my second video. It's not as interesting as you think it is. And we pick up on that in this third movie, noticing that this love triangle is becoming a more cemented thing as the main character questions whether or not she actually loves the second guy, possibly more than the first. And now there seems to be trouble in Paraíso. Bilingual, which is funny because there was never any paradise. We got here because you got kidnapped and then you married the guy. And though all of that sounds like a storyline, please rest assured it's not. It's literally 2 hours of people fucking and sucking to horribly, disturbingly loud and distracting pop music, which thankfully returns this time around because we missed that. Last time it was 25 songs. This time, if I recall correctly, or if I count it correctly, it's 26. Leveling up, if you will. The main character, the main couple, is not as strong as one would assume in a movie such as this. I will say, like I said, I'm always the person that cheers for the new guy, whoever the second guy is in the love triangle. I always prefer him and they always pick the main one. I will applaud this piece of shit and say it's the first movie in this whole kind of scenarios of movies, again, that are offset of, for all intents and purposes, traditionally laid out romance, particularly if it's based off of Twilight in any way, shape, or form. I do appreciate that this movie actually, at the end of it, made the main guy look so bad that she might actually go with the second guy, which would be interesting. you don't do anything else right. But I actually prefer that this feels like an actual love triangle to some degree. Because a lot of these love triangles, it's like, sure, it's a love triangle, but we know she's going to go with the first guy because they always go with the first guy. That's the person we've seen most of this kind of interaction with. Of course she'll go with the first guy. But this movie, if I'm going to give it anything, I'll give it half a point for the fact that in its attempt in pursuit of being just wholly horny, so much sex in these movies. For once, a love triangle is cemented in a way that is actually physically consummated, for lack of a better word. And I'll get to this later. I'm not sitting here like, yay, more cheating. I'm just saying, like, it never feels like a toss-up. We know she's always gonna pick Edward. You feel me? We know she's always gonna pick the first guy. This one, I'm genuinely like, oh, maybe she won't, which I kind of hope she don't. To be quite frank with you, if I get anything out of this movie, it would be kind of nice, but we'll see. If you recall, the first two movies ended with her on the brink of death, which this is me being petty, but I just have to be. This movie has a line in it where the main character is like, I have been given a second chance at life. I'm like, bitch, can't count. Because this is at least her third. And that's not even including the 6 minutes in the first movie where she had a chronic heart disease and a heart condition that made her weak and frail at any given moment. But I guess they realized, well, we can't have her doing Olympic marathon bouts of sex and also be on the brink of death if she like takes a Peloton class. I kind of just wish that she would drop dead mid coitus just to prove a point, like a gotcha. Like, hey, y'all remember how she had a horrible heart disease in that first 6 minutes of the first movie? That's called a setup. All I'm saying is, I don't know if this bitch is surviving off of anime and the power of friendship, but she should have been gone by now. Anyway, before this wine get me speaking reckless, let's start with the movie. This is the next 365 days, which is also 2022. Because the last one was released in like April. So the movie begins and we are joined again with our main characters, Massimo and Laura. Again, if you recall, the last movie ended with Laura getting abruptly shot in a way that made me laugh. I'm sorry. Pace herself. She doesn't mentally count 1, 2, 3, nothing. She doesn't bob and weave. She doesn't do a little juke, 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 nothing. She runs straight and gets shot. I didn't mean to laugh, but it left me weak. It's one of the funniest possibly death scenes I've ever seen. I've repented all I'm going to for that. Moving right on. It starts off with what we should expect, terrible pop music throughout this movie. Yes, again, there's 26. I did take note that there's like 4 or 5 of them that actually aren't bad. Most of them are in Spanish, and maybe that's why I don't think they're terrible. Maybe the only reason I don't think they're bad is because I don't speak Spanish. Wine hitting. And maybe I can't notice how bad the lyrics are at that point. But there's also a few English songs that are not bad. I would actually listen to on purpose. You can do your scavenger hunt through the sex-filled porn music video to figure out which ones you like. But I actually found myself singing one of them. Just wanna have you closer. Actually sounds like an actual song with a tune and lyrics and a little bop to it. Anyway, Laura's supposed to be dead, or at least we're gonna get a fake out that perhaps she's dead in this movie. We know that bitch ain't dead. But they do like this fake out. Her best friend Olga is like, oh, I just miss her so much. And Massimo is standing in front of a grave looking pensive and whatnot. But that's actually the grave of his evil twin from the last movie, which is funny. I don't know why that's so funny. They just said, let's introduce that and go nowhere with it, baby. That is what I call a filler arc. They are full bleach mode. What in the one piece is this shit? In fairness, the whole movie, like the storyline, the actual events of the movie feel like a giant afterthought anyway. Vaguely written together excuses to get them bumping uglies. Just accept it that they don't need to do other things anymore. People know what they're walking into. They know they're walking into a piece of shit with just a lot of sex scenes in it. So why like raise the quality now? It's just limbo under expectations each time. But anyway, as we would expect, Laura is not dead. That bitch is fine. Again, for someone with a horrible heart disease, she has survived a horrible car accident and a straight up gunshot through her body. And she got a scar that looked like a paper cut. Are you kidding me? But with that said, being that she was shot, Laura has been spending all her time healing, and that's why she hasn't seen her best friend Olga. Also why her and Massimo haven't had sex, which if you recall is the only thing they do. They don't have anything. They don't have conversations. All they do is just grind genitalia for 120 minutes every 4 months apparently, and we just watch that to shitty music and just enjoy the ride. She's like, I would like to have sex, Massimo, and he's like, no, I don't. The doctor said it's not good. You still need to heal. She seems very annoyed by that. She's like, I know what I want. With that said, for the first time in his life, Massimo is being in any way considerate towards any person, so I guess we should give him cookies for that. Eventually, Laura and Olga get reunited. If you recall, I'm just going to remind you because this doesn't really come up a whole lot, and maybe it'll be more important in the next movie. I doubt it, but Olga is engaged to Massimo's like right-hand man, and she's like getting ready for her wedding. I don't know if I've ever explicitly mentioned this. I've always gotten this vibe that Laura and Olga are low-key real gay for each other, and I wish they would just like just do that. I feel like that would be a much more healthy relationship, but okay. I don't know, they just give very like straight friends who make out at a bar type energy, and it's like, boo, bump coochies and move along. Like, imagine marrying a mob boss, nearly dying twice. Once in a car crash where you lost your pregnancy and nearly died, and another in a gunshot wound because his ex shot you just because you don't want to say you like coochie. But instead of accepting that she just may be a little bit gay, she strides into Massimo's meeting like a GTA hooker, respectfully, trying to seduce him. And they have their first awful sex scene of this movie. I will say, I did really find the guy who played Massimo really hot at one point. But there's something about the sex scenes in this specific movie. Like, I've never found the sex scenes hot. They've never been good. But, like, I still found him hot. But there's something about how he has sex in this movie that's just bad. They have so much sex in these movies at this point, it feels like they're running out of ideas. Honestly, it felt like it in the last movie because she, you know, the putt in the pussy thing. I was like, damn, we running out of ideas. Y'all just got married. Y'all gotta spice it up already. Like, but after finally getting that D, Laura is on cloud 9. But her wistful connection with her husband comes to a screeching stop when she gets a call from the other man, Nacho. Again, Nacho is a rival mob boss's son, as well as the guy that she ended up getting closer to after she thought that her husband had cheated on her. Of course, now she knows that that's not the case. It was the evil twin. Anyway, but she did have a genuine connection with this man. They never had sex, but they did kiss at one point. And after everything that happened with the twin and the ex happened, Laura has gone back to her husband and they're trying to work it out for all intents and purposes. But Nacho calls her. Seemingly, this might be the first time since her injury, since she got shot. He calls her Busy Bee, which confuses me because I was like, did he call her that in the last movie? Not that I would remember, honestly. The only thing from that movie I remember is him being hot and them just playing a lot of shitty music. So he might have called her that. In fairness, Busy Bee doesn't have the same ring, if that's what you want to call it, as Are You Lost, Baby Girl, which will haunt my nightmares until I die. So maybe that's the reason why it didn't stick with me the same, you know? Laura seems to be aware of the nickname, understands that it's indicative of Nacho calling her. Though he is a man that has, you know, made her question her love for her husband. He was her best friend at one point. She's like, I want to forget about him. And she's, you know, a happily married woman after all. Laura and Massimo in the VIP room of a strip club after a sexually charged will they won't they have a threesome with a private dancer. They don't. by the way, but that is something that's for later parts of the movie, it would seem. And then after this, with no conflict leading up to this, mind you, they had just had sex in the VIP room. They seem to be in a decent place up until now, and they haven't had a fight at all verbally in this leading up to. All of a sudden, he's mad. They get home, he's mad, he's drunk. And I know you cheated on me. I know you were with Nacho. How did we get here? They really dropped the ball story-wise. They didn't say we're going to lead up to shit. There was no eyes. There was no look shared or anything. But during this conversation, they argue about everything and also nothing at all. At some point, I realized this isn't actually an argument. This is just a really shittily sewn together attempt to get us up to date on like things that happened in the last movie to remind us in case we forgot. Which is impressive because I did forget, even though the movie came out 4 months ago. But it's about everything. Her possibly cheating on him because she thought that he was cheating on her with his ex. About her losing her pregnancy in the car crash of the first movie. Something vaguely about Anna and Nacho being in somehow cahoots. But if I recall correctly, in the last video I made, I said why that doesn't make any sense. So it's hard to follow that line of thought into this movie, because it made no sense the last time we talked about it. Basically, she's mad at Nacho for some reason, and he betrayed her somehow, and I don't know how, but sure.
It was our baby who died because of your enemies.
I've never seen someone commit property damage in such an unintimidating way. Not only did I cheat on you, you throw like a bitch. Oh my God. The shattered glass on the floor reminds her of Nacho and how he cared for her when she almost got her foot cut up by broken glass. I guess to contrast how he is just simply a better person fundamentally than than Massimo is. This eventually leads to her having salacious sexual dreams about Nacho, either while asleep or in the midst of having sex with Massimo. Gotta say, as a viewer, a third party, one, Nacho got a nice ass. They both do. They both do. But Nacho Cheese's stroke game? At least a 7. And Massimo's PR has been declining since a 4.2 in the first movie. Ever since the opening season, he's been batting like a 170 each time these movies run out the assembly line. I love how I said that as if I didn't just look up what a bad batting average is for that joke. My mother is somewhere turning in her grave. Have I taught you nothing? Not a damn thing. I don't know. I think the thing that makes Nacho seem to be better at this, Massimo's sex scenes always look like he's having sex like he hates her fundamentally. And to see like even in her dreams, and then spoiler, she may actually dip in real life. Nacho has sex with her in like a general playful, I don't know, enjoyable context. She better pick Nacho. I want nachos. Massimo, suspecting that perhaps something had happened with her and Nacho. She never admits to anything, by the way. There's something about that ends up putting a wedge between them. Massimo really focuses in on his work. He's in the office a lot, which is kind of funny. I'm not sure how that works. I know not much of the mob life. They might have cubicles and shit. I don't know. But he seems to be busy at Office Max a lot or something. Laura starts to finally go to her job. Because if you recall in the last movie, she got a fashion store, like a boutique or something that Massimo had given her. So she's like, oh, I should probably do my job. So she starts going to that store and they start making fashion. As the chasm between Laura and Massimo grows, Massimo, jaded and again thinking that she may have cheated on him because she thought that he cheated on her, he goes out to actually cheat on her. He goes to a sex club and it is jarring. Usually the sex scenes in these movies, though copious, though running abundantly, they don't shock me. I think it's this scene and the next scene directly after that. There's no buildup. So you're just kind of attacked with sex scenes. I hate the scene so much. Not because it's an orgy happening in the room, but just everything about it. The no buildup. The music in this particular scene is atrocious. It may be Massimo, the actor for Massimo actually has a music career, and his shitty music has come up in some of the other movies that we've talked about. This sounds like it could be him because whenever there's a particularly bad song, I recognize his voice. If this is him, new low, babe. But he's on the brink of cheating. Sex all around. People getting sloppy toppy, people getting loosey goosey, people having threesomes. You know, they look like they're having a fun time. Good for y'all. He's about to cross over a particular line with one of the women there, and he can't because he is attacked by thoughts of Laura and their passionate love life. And so he like kind of just runs out with his tail between his legs, and without missing a beat, we go straight into one of Laura's employees in her office. I don't know if this is gonna come up later, but I'm just letting you know it's there. We don't know her very well, and we don't know who she's fucking very well either. That happens. Laura seems to be not too upset about it. She couldn't be me. Ain't no way in hell I'm gonna let you fuck on company time. All over my prints. You getting juices and berries all over my prints? Like, no. Also, I noticed around this time, it ain't even the main characters anymore. It's just like, well, we have to have a quota of people on screen at any given moment. Laura and Olga end up going to Portugal for a fashion festival of sorts, presumably a place where they can show off their garments that they make at her boutique. And this trip away from Massimo only further kind of cements that there may be almost too much space between them, that they won't be able to come back together. But Laura goes off. She goes to Portugal. While at the beach, she ends up seeing Nacho and his sister, trying to distance herself away from him. But, you know, she keeps having all these sex dreams about him. I can imagine that's difficult to do, especially if you see him in real life now. And again, especially when these sex dreams are better than Massimo ever did in real life, that's unfortunate. Though this movie is unmitigated garbage, I will say that I do appreciate that this actually feels like a real triangle to some degree. Like I said, in other movies, you just know she's gonna pick the first guy regardless, so there doesn't feel like anything's at stake. But now we have now seen her, at least in her mind, have sex with this other person, twice now? So it actually feels like something that she might do. Like if this were a movie that were good overall and like an actual movie overall, I think this tension is necessary for us to feel invested in any way. Will she actually go with the second person? Like, I'm not sitting here condoning cheating. Don't get it twisted. But if you're gonna cheat on somebody, let it be your verbally, emotionally, and otherwise abusive boyfriend or husband. If you're gonna cheat, you might as well do it to a bad person. Like, I guess one thing that I appreciate is in this movie, I'm not 100% sure that she's gonna pick the first guy. Because again, these last two movies don't make Massimo look particularly great. Like again, he has sex with her like he hates her. He kidnapped her and that's how we got here. And now she's feeling like actual love and connection and intimacy with someone else. Maybe that will be the only flowers I give this series, is if she ends up with a person who actually treats her well. They go to a club. They've been going to a bunch of clubs actually throughout this movie. Again, this movie is just a giant vlog with shitty music and people every 3 seconds. Well, this particular club is also a fashion show that her and Olga go to again talk about the fashion that they make. While there, they play that one song that's actually a song. Closer. Closer. That oons oons. I actually like that song. I will listen to that on purpose. And during this scene, Laura ends up reconnecting with Nacho's sister. She tells her that essentially Nacho really messed up. Again, whatever he did. I don't really know what happened last time. I'm still confused about that. But she's like, he's really sorry. Can you please hear him out? Hopefully, like, y'all can come together and make amends. Meanwhile, I haven't brought this up because it doesn't really matter. And again, what little bit I'm trying to make a plot, I don't want to get us distracted, but
The friend Olga has been like a comedic relief throughout the series, but this seems to be her side plot moment. There's a lot of scenes with Olga being just incredibly annoying. While Laura and Nacho end up separating and going by themselves to discuss their lives and their relationship, I guess, Olga's off getting hammered, drunk, and running from security in a very like Clockwork Orange-esque moment. I assume for comedy, but she's just incredibly annoying. I mean, up until this point, we've been able to somewhat ignore her, but she's so like interwoven in this particular movie that she's inescapable for the most part. So again, you know you're walking into garbage, but I just want you to know what type of garbage you're walking into.
Laura and Nacho are together. They talk things over. He says outright that he's in love with her. She kisses him after lamenting that everything was so perfect before he showed up.
Was it? Like, are you sure about that? You a victim.
He takes her to this really nice place. I don't know if that's his place or just a really nice local place, but he seems prepared. Candles lit everywhere. He has this nice ass, what is that, bathtub fountain? Whatever it is, he got money. He tells her that he will be waiting for her, even if it's forever. She's conflicted about whether or not she should kiss him, but they end up fucking. Which again, I'm not condoning cheating, but did I feel bad about it? Like, oh my God, you're cheating on your kidnapper turned husband. Girl, no. And she didn't just fuck him, she fucked him. Position after position, after position. She was like, if you're going this far, we doing side. We doing on the stomach. I'm going to be over you. I'm going to look at you, be looking back. I mean, like, girl, if you're going to do it.
Also, this is where the second, I believe, decent song plays. That ain't bad. It was like a bootleg Coldplay type moment. I was into it. I don't know if it's obvious, by the way, but I'm obviously team Nacho if we're going to pick one. If I have any emotional investment enough to pick a team, then I'm team Nacho. Again, I'm always the team, the other one. All right. And I appreciate that if they're going to have two ships, they're gonna let them I was gonna say they're gonna let them sail, but like, no, they're gonna let them
But needless to say, next morning Laura wakes up and is conflicted about her feelings about everything. She just, crossed a particular line, one could say. He drives her back to the place where I guess she's staying in Portugal. He tells her that he's not like Massimo. He's not gonna make her do anything. You will always have a choice with me. So what you're saying, with the same 26 letters that I use in my English language, that you have met this man who is equally attractive, if not more so, ass plump, and he love you, and he like you, and the stroke is at least above average? Like, wait, I gotta talk to my kidnapper about it. What? She gets back to her place, and apparently Massimo is now in Portugal. I don't know, when he got there was no indication that he would be at this event with her. She ends up threatening him with a divorce. She's like, I'm considering getting a divorce if you keep pushing me. She goes on, says that she's in limbo and needs space to know what she feels, to know what she wants, and knows what she thinks. So she tells him to go back to Sicily and that she will stay with Olga for the night. Eventually she ends up going back to see her parents in Portugal. No, in Poland. I know countries. And she ends up talking with her parents. She ends up getting some advice from them, some comfort from them. The mom actually says possibly the only thing that made sense in any of these movies ever. She asks her, like, if you weren't married to Massimo, which one would you pick? And she's like, I don't know. And she was like, well, this is the advice I got. A woman who lives only for her man will be unhappy in the end. Amen to that, sis. Now, finally, we have the scene that I'm sure you all want me to talk about in particular. Everybody was tweeting me like, did you see this scene? What are your thoughts on this scene? What are your thoughts on the scene? Laura has another dream, of a sexual nature, and this time it's both of them. Sounds like she's sleeping well. And me, she's in a sexual connotation with both of them. Massimo looks over at Nacho. And Nacho looks over at Massimo. And Massimo and Nacho start making out. Oh. All right. All right.
Honestly, a little gay would have solved a lot of problems in anything in the Twilight universe. Okay, anything 50 Shades of Grey, anything with this love triangle thing, we could have solved a lot of things if it got a little gay and a little poly. This is a shit movie and it has no plot, but I give it props for letting the second dude in real life, and even in dreams they don't let him get that far, and for offering a true solution. Because think about it, I always thought this, that if Edward and Jacob were willing to die for this boring bitch with no personality, she got the personality like the scent of pine sol, and y'all were willing to go to war to protect her, you telling me that you couldn't be in an open relationship? Low-key, Jacob would have been a little gay, because how are you imprinting on Bella's eggs when Edward's nutsack is right there too? Something's not adding up, Miss Myers. Something's not adding up. All I'm saying is all they got to do is say no. If they don't want to do it, then no. But it don't hurt to ask. Imagine we could end a mob turf war just because they didn't feel like it was a safe space to articulate their bisexuality. And you're like, oh, want to have a threesome? We come together. We be a people. And realize that this is what We Are the World is actually about. Make a brighter day for you and me. The next day, Laura gets a call from Olga, and somehow Olga speaks enough Italian now to know that Massimo knows that Laura has cheated on him with Nacho. And then the movie finally ends with Laura going back to Sicily, visiting Massimo on the beach. She still hasn't made her decision, but before she could say anything, Massimo is like, apologizing essentially for how he's treated her, says that he actually knew about her connection with Nacho for a lot longer than he admitted. I learned when I was a kid that if you love something, you gotta let it go, and if it comes back, it's yours forever, blah, blah, blah. And it ends with the cliffhanger of a lifetime. No, she doesn't get shot again.
Are you back, baby girl?
Unfortunately, due to copyright, I will not be able to show you how funny this scene is unedited. It's so bad that it looks like parody, but he says, "Are you back, baby girl?" And then his shitty song starts playing again. The song is, again, feels like parody. And they stare at each other as the camera whirls around them, motionless. She never responds to this. And it lasts for so long. It feels like an eternity. And that's where the movie ends, by the way. The movie's over. You gotta admit, for a series that has no plot, it somehow gets you every time, doesn't it? Like, you want to watch the next one. I want to watch the next one. Did anything happen in this one? Not particularly. And it might sound like a movie because I cut out a bunch of the like random clubbing montages and other like shopping montages and dumb shit like that. But this is not a film. This is not a movie. But I'll be damned if I don't want to see the next one that comes out probably in 3 weeks. But that's all for today, folks. And that's all for that bottle of wine. If you like this video, feel free to like this video. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram, Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. If you have other bad movies that you think I should check out, I have a list for the next few weeks that feels strong. The new After movie is coming out. You're welcome. Horrible sounding movie, They, Them. The horror Winnie the Pooh should be coming out soon. All of which are on the list. And also this gem, obviously. So, but if there's other bad movies that you would like me to check out, feel free to put those down in the comment section. Follow me again on Instagram and Twitter, all of which are KennieJD. And I will see you guys next time.